I'd like to welcome all of us again to Amadeo Business Summit 3.0 Day 2. And without further ado, we're going to start with the opening prayer. And I'd like to call on the Deputy Group Managing Director, Copen Group, the person of Evangelist Mrs. Chinelo Chime, for the opening prayer. Please, can we give her a loud ovation as she comes?
May we all stand as we pray, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today, day 2 of our program. We thank you for your presence that was so manifest here yesterday. God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, we invite you to still come and have your preeminence in our meeting today. Father, we've all come to learn. We've all come to share. And we know, oh God, that as people speak today, our lives shall be changed forever. Our lives will be transformed forever. And the purpose, oh God, for this meeting shall be achieved. Be thou exalted, for we have prayed in the mighty name of our Lord Jesus. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together as we welcome the convener of Amadeo Business Summit, no other than Reverend Dr. Ugo Chime, as he comes to give us his opening remarks. Please put your hands together and usher him up.
The distinguished Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Osita Ngwu, Deputy Chief Minority Leader. You're welcome, sir. Dr. Emeka Ene, who has been a passionate advocate of Think Home philosophy of investment that will make a meaning in lives, and is the owner of the franchise for the free trade zone at 9th Mile. Apart from being an oil mogul, he decided to come home and invest in lives. Thank you so much, sir. I'd like to make sure that I continue participating in real estate development activities. So it's my pleasure to welcome my president, the president of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, Prince Akintoye Adoye. Today, I would like to delve into the reality that our society rarely acknowledges those who are making impact in the society. I'd like to appreciate the fact that there are many silent people who are doing better things than myself. But the reason we chose to begin to showcase the beauty that we have in people and the beautiful things that are being done in our society is because the narrative of the negativity is taking over the airwaves. And we have to let ourselves to know that a lot of beautiful things are happening all around us. And therefore, we have chosen that the Amadeo Business Summit will be a fertile ground for showcasing those things that are happening, and also be a fertile ground for encouraging others to come in and be part of what is happening. That is at the core and at the center of what we have chosen to do. Today, I would not sit down till I do one more thing. Yesterday, we told you that we have something to do. And that's something that we started last year. That is the honoring and induction of people into what we call Amadeo Hall of Fame. Today, we are privileged to have in our midst one of those people that will be so honored. He's not being honored for being a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. No. We're honoring him for the activities he did before he became a distinguished senator. We're honoring him for the transformation that he has brought to the lives of people. We're honoring him for the selfless service of paying school fees, ensuring jam centers are created in many communities outside his community. We keep deliberate and diligent track of the activities of these people. So today, it is my pleasure that we will be inducting and honoring distinguished Senator Osita Ngwu into the Amadeo Hall of Fame He's a worthy son who is deserving for the selfless activities that he was involved in and for his heart of sacrifice, humility, and selflessness. So, I'll be inviting Dr. Emeka Ene to be stepping forward to perform that function of presenting to him, and I'll be inviting the distinguished Senator Osita Ngwu to please step forward.
The next on the bill will be the keynote address, which will be by the very distinguished Senator Osita Ngwu.
We can sit down, please. I'm privileged to stand before you today. I won't just speak. I will just try and make it as a presentation so that I can communicate better. My background is engineering. Haven't done that for about 20 years, passing messages. I hope today we'll be able to get to a point where every youth here will have a take-home and understand what youth empowerment is. What empowerment is. Not only youth that are supposed to be empowered, though. Empowerment goes all around. So join me as we move on to this program. Go back. The topic I was given was youth empowerment, but I said I'm going to drive it into empowering the next generation and unlocking the potential for young leaders. Go on. This presentation, what we actually aim to achieve is to inspire and stimulate a constructive discussion on how young leaders can evolve their dreams into valuable goals and create a brighter future for themselves and their community. We can then arrive at a consensus after harvesting the thoughts of other leaders and subject matters experts here. The key point here is evolving our dreams into valuable goals. It is good to dream, but sometimes dreams don't turn to reality. You can sleep sometimes if you understand. Sometimes when you sleep and deep into that dream, you can dream that you are in America. You can dream you rode a car. But when you wake up, most times you don't even remember what you dream about. So all the physical dreams we have, most important that we do is to drive our dreams, evolve it into goals. Especially goals that are immeasurable so that they can be able to be achievable. Some of the brief overview of the importance of youth empowerment. Youth empowerment is not just a buzzword, it's a call for action. Down the slide, we will understand the action we can actually take to be able to achieve that youth empowerment. It's about creating opportunities for education and skill acquisition, providing resources, fostering an environment that allows young people to drive. The power of youth empowerment. Understanding the transformative power of youth empowerment. It is a process of enabling people to take control of their lives, make informed decisions, and contribute positively to the communities. The key thing you have to hear is to take control of your life. Take control of your life. If you are not in control, then there is a problem. Self-awareness. The element is that you must first of all be aware as a youth that you need empowerment. Today, when I was growing, I know age has caught up with some of us. At a younger age, I wasn't very familiar with youth seeing empowerment as handouts. especially handouts from politicians. But this day, we can actually see youths believing that they are empowered when politicians give out something to them. Time has changed, but one thing I tell our youth is, if time changes negatively, you change the time so that it can be positive. You don't allow time to change. You also change the time. Another key element is identifying the niche, a niche or a vocation. As a youth, if you are self-aware, you definitely have to understand and identify what you are used to, what you can do. Then skill building and education, access to resources and supportive environment. I'm just emphasizing on what I had said in the past. Empowerment is not just about giving young people resources, also creating an environment for them to foster. Go ahead. Importance of youth empowerment. Economic benefits. Of course, the importance of the economic benefit of empowering youths increased productivity, innovation, and entrepreneurship. If you check, sometime last week, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria came here, and we drove with him to a center being controlled by Enugu SME, where they have a hub and young people learning fashion designing, cutting, and all that. That, if sustained, we can understand the kind of money and the economic benefit of that can bring to Enugu State, especially when we can move Enugu to be another hub where fabrics and clothing is known for. So you cannot de-emphasize the economic benefit of empowering the youths. Then social benefits. You are assured that empowering the youths reduces poverty, improve health, and social cohesion. Definitely when you're empowered, poverty is reduced. But if even issue of health, some people's psyche, when things are hard, people don't tend to think very well. And it is even when people are unemployed or unempowered or when they are idle, you see a lot of people doing vices like drug abuse and all that. So youth empowerment definitely is going to improve the health of the youths. There are individual benefits like enhanced self-esteem, decision-making, and problem-solving skills. This is actually, I'm a testament of that. If a youth is empowered, the person's self-esteem is improved. You can be able to understand the reason to do better and continue to do well on your own. The fear of moving forward will be completely eliminated when a youth is empowered. You can now dare to improve. Then demography dividend, leveraging the energy and creativity of young people for national development. Catchy. Empowering young people is crucial for breaking the cycle of poverty, promoting social stability, and driving economic growth. Now, let's look at some of these elements in a more detailed form. Creating opportunities. How do we create opportunities for youths? One is education and skill acquisition. I was in the office of the Minister for Youths. Nobody will believe that we have about 761 skill acquisition centers built by the government in Nigeria. More than 20% is only, more than 80% are not functional. About 20% is functional. And this is one of the reasons why we are where we are today. Government will build structures and it is not being utilized. So education and skill, we need to make sure that we create more education and skill acquisition centers for this youth to be empowered, not create and abandon, but create and start using them. Mentorship and coaching. Mentorship is a very critical part of human capital development. Mentorship, some people can venture into, and this is why we are happy with what we have today. Amadeo Center, Amadeo Hall of Fame that we have taken. I'm happy with what my uncle has developed in terms of mentoring people. I've seen several programs, and we encourage people, both politicians, businessmen in the private sector, to take mentorship and coaching very seriously. It is a very critical element of youth empowerment. Let us look at the social implications of neglecting youth empowerment. Neglecting it has severe social implications. The first one is social unrest and instability. When we don't empower people, poverty is increased, crime is increased, social exclusion and marginalization, reduce social cohesion and community engagement. It is no doubt that if we have more youths in Enugu empowered to do one thing or the other, the number of people who are going to play sleep, I don't know what, sleep, they play sleep during the weekend when they want to play football. Betting. The number of betting is ruining our people, and we do not know. I'm not trying to demarcate the business of betting, but the truth is, some youths only provide their time to do betting. But when they have skills, I think they will reduce the time they attach to sitting on Fridays to bet on live matches, and at the end, I haven't seen a millionaire here who made too much money from betting. Maybe you win 1 naira, tomorrow you lose 10 naira. It's not something I personally encourage. But the point I'm trying to say is that when we empower our youths, such things are reduced. Crime is reduced. Pickpockets are reduced. People who snatch phones. Young people now buy the most expensive phones, and people who are making genuine money. And when you have a young man who is making genuine money, he doesn't have time to come and snatch an old man's outdated iPhone 2 or iPhone 3 because he's using iPhone 16 already. So we have to reduce crime if we empower our people. Then there are severe economic consequences. Lost production and economic growth, decreased dependency on social services, and brain drain and talent loss. When we don't empower our people, definitely the economic consequence is enormous. We cannot overemphasize it. And there is also something that I figured out. We were on a training out of the country, and some of the countries that we even think are doing better than us are already suffering. Like United States, China, these people are going to have, in the next 10 years, massive shortage of skilled people. And this is how I advise our people, most people who do Japa, you run out of the country because you are going for greener pasture, but you don't know anything on how to do. You end up going to wash plates in the streets of London or do certain things like that. But if you are a plumber, if you're a carpenter, if you're a trained mechanic, it's easier for you to integrate into that country that you're going to. I have seen people who travel abroad and they're asking us to send them money because they have nothing to do. They learned no skill, they are not tech savvy, they have no handwork, and you go abroad, you think tomorrow you are going to be better than all the young guys. It's not going to be possible. If you don't train yourself now, even if you go to America, it is never going to be better. You will go there, and that is when people go, they don't come back for 20 years. Health and well-being. When we empower our youths, I have said it, issue of drug abuse will reduce. For instance, I have business in 9th Mile, and I took special interest on working with NDLEA to reduce issue of drug abuse. If you know the volume of drugs that pass through 9th Mile now, it will marvel you. And some of the reason is that some of these youths doing these drugs have nothing doing. So it's a gap. If we plug that gap and train more people, you will not have that level of people using illicit drugs. Another one is high rate of teen pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. We can also know some of our youths who are doing well in either making of hair, wigs. The last time we went to the SME clinic, we saw very young girls who have, some are producing tiger nuts, some are producing bags, shoes. Those ones are not ready to do sex work. It is when you are completely out of zero, you don't have anything, then that's when we have teens who do trade for sex for money. And it's something that youth empowerment can stop. Then it is some of the well-being, reduced life expectancy and quality of life. Of course, if you are good, if you have something doing, you'll be able to not have some of the mental drain, and you have a good health. Then education and skills. Reduce education and educational attainment and skill. Limited access to quality education, increased dropout rates, lack of preparation for workforce. You can go on. If you check my Facebook page, I have this on my Facebook page. While I was for my 15 years of working in the oil and gas company, any office I am, I put this thing on my wall. I have even in my office in the Senate, this thing is pasted whenever I sit in my office, I see this. There's nothing anyone can do to prevent you from reaching your potential. The challenge is for you to identify your dream, develop the skill to get there, and exhibit the character and leadership. Then you need to have the courage to periodically assess, make adjustments, and pursue a course that reflects who you truly are. Almost every day I look at this, because if you don't look at it, you may derail. You must definitely understand that nobody can prevent you from reaching your potential. But you must identify your dream. Not just dream it, develop skill. If your dream is to be a pilot, you cannot fly a plane if you don't go to school to know how to fly a plane. You must develop, if your dream is to play football, if you don't go to training, you cannot play football. Then you must exhibit the character and leadership. Not just to do that, you must exhibit that character. Then you must also have a courage to reassess yourself. Know whether you are making progress. If you are not, you make adjustments and pursue a course that reflects who you truly are. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
At this point, we're going to the next item on the bill, which is going to be the panel session. And I bet you this is going to be very, very inspiring, impacting, and fulfilling. Why do I say so? We have panelists in persons of people like Honorable Pharmacist Chika Ogwoke, the Commissioner for Labor and Employment. We also have Honorable Lloyd Ikechukwu Ekweremadu, Commissioner for Youth and Sports. We have finally on that panel Honorable Chilo Ofia, SA, MSME, and Digital Economy to His Excellency, the Governor of Enugu State, and of course, the DG of SME Center, Enugu. To anchor this very panel, we have youthful and useful Dr. Roque Ogbimi.
A very good morning to everyone who is seated. And please, again, can you help me celebrate my panelists? They look really good this morning. And we're going to have a very engaging session. We are here to really put some life to the discussions and a very deep presentation that was given by the Honorable Senator Osita Ngwu. We really did talk about empowering the next generation. I think that's something that is so crucial for our youth and the transgenerational movement that must happen within our society. And I have great panelists here. I'm going to be asking them questions one after the other. What we're trying to do is to see how we can deepen the narrative of youth empowerment, which is the focus of today. I'll start from the one very close to me, the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sports, Honorable Lloyd Ekweremadu. Your role as Commissioner for Youth and Sports is very crucial. And, your ministry directly speaks to the youth. And I think we all on the panel session here and as moderator look very youthful. Am I communicating? All right. So your role at Youth and Sports, how would you speak to the strategies, that are being developed or are on ground currently that will engender the integration of the youth, particularly of today, the youth that are highly mobile, that are, part of the Jackpot generation? How would you integrate? How does your ministry integrate these people to still feel like there's something to be done here there are opportunities for them, especially in the aspect of youth and sports. How would you speak to these youths? How does that apply in your ministry?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, once again. So, at the Ministry of Youth and Sports in Enugu State, the first thing, or as far as strategy for us when we came in, was policy formulation. So, for the first time in Enugu State, you have an Enugu State youth policy. A policy with the vision and mission of developing our youth and creating opportunities for them and supporting them through that process. So that for us was the first strategy. So of course, in doing so, you must be aligned with the process at the national level. So of course, you do have a national youth policy. But then the youth policy at the time expired last year. And we're yet to have a new national policy. But that didn't stop us. So we took it up from there and we proceeded. And today we have a working document in the form of a draft policy that we're using to carry out our activities pending when the national one comes, and then we can align it. But moving forward from that and to speak to what that policy encompasses and the direction that we're going towards, it's a case of working together. In the government of Dr. Peter Ndubuisimba, one thing that is always encouraged is that we do not work in silos. We must work together. So the policy for youth in Enugu State is cross-cutting. So mine is perhaps to follow up with my colleagues and other members of government to see that on their end they are implementing. But every part of it, in terms of labor, SME, whatever it is, the programs and projects carried out are youth-facing, they're youth-oriented, and the idea is to make opportunities for our youth. So we're doing a lot of things in terms of capacity building, in terms of building capacity in various areas where we feel the youth of Enugu State, not feel, that research and experience tells us that the youth of Enugu State will be able to contribute positively to the economy of Enugu State, but also be able to find employment and, of course, be employers themselves. So various, like I said, training programs in areas of ICT, in agriculture, in entrepreneurship, generally speaking. The idea and the target is to build capacity of 40,000 youths in Enugu State in the digital space, because we're trying to revolutionize the digital economy of Enugu State. So in doing all of this, I think the outcome would be that the youth of Enugu State would be integrated into everything that is being done in Enugu State.
Thank you so much. I want to go right straight to my next panelist, Pharmacist Chika Ugoke. You're the commissioner in charge of labor and employment. But I'm going to speak to you a bit more personally as, first of all, a pharmacist who has transited to become an entrepreneur, who has transited to taking that from both the Nigerian space and gone into the UK space, and you've built significant portfolios over these spaces. How do you see, now you're in government, how do you see first of all, your pharmaceutical industry in this aspect of job creation? What are the things that are being done? What are the things that we can look forward to, probably in the near, intermediate, or remote future, as to the areas in which we can promote and bolster job creation within the state?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I guess the question you just threw to me would require that I respond in two capacities. One as a businessman, as a pharmacist, and then secondly as a public servant. Let me start from the perspective of government. The pharmaceutical sector generally is a sector that any government in the whole world that wants to grow cannot ignore. It is a sector that government needs to be quite intentional about utilizing as an instrument of economic development. If you look at countries like China, if you look at countries like India, Korea, these are countries that have intentionally developed the pharmaceutical sector with the aim of growing their economy. And you cannot talk about growing an economy without talking about job creation. So in Nigeria, of course, amongst many of our myriads of problems, this is one of them, that we are ignoring this sector of high utility and not harnessing it as part of the instruments of economic development and job creation. Now, in our state, let me zone it down to Enugu State. Being opportune to be in the Executive Council as a commissioner, I have worked very closely with the governor to see how we can utilize this opportunity to contribute to the projection of GDP growth from 3.3 billion to from 4.4 billion to 30 billion. And what we are doing is working very closely with the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. There is currently a presidential reform of the pharmacy sector that before now, our state in particular was completely oblivious of. And the governor has proactively been engaging the council where we are trying to increase the capacity of the state to become a hub for the pharmaceutical industry. Now, the pharmaceutical industry is vast in its ability to create jobs. It has a core that provides direct jobs for professionals, and then it has the ancillary elements to it that can provide jobs directly and indirectly for non-professionals alike. So I think the pharmaceutical industry has a huge potential to boost our economy through job creation, through GDP growth, and provision of training and skills for our people, and indirectly taking care of all the issues. We listen to the keynote speaker, insecurity, all these things, We as a sector have the ability to meaningfully contribute in solving some of these problems. Thank you.
I want to go to the panelists to my far right. You are the Director General of the Enugu SME Center, and you've championed, and I'm privileged to know some of the initiatives you've championed, especially in the digital economy, because we feel that's one area that provides room for scale of many of our small and medium scale enterprises and businesses. So how do you foresee MSMEs in Enugu, micro, small, and medium scale enterprises in Enugu, how do you foresee them adapting to emerging digital trends within the space? And how would you speak to that as a veritable tool for scaling businesses within the state, Enugu State in particular?
Thank you very much. So with regards to your question, I think it's very important that MSMEs across the whole value chain adopt digital tools and platforms to help scale their businesses. So, from productivity tools to also adopting new technologies per se. So for us, we're trying to be a bit deliberate with that. Outside of capacity development programs for small businesses and startups as well, we are doing something for the nano enterprises in terms of creating a credit history for them. So currently, there's a massive data collection exercise for nano enterprises in every cluster, in every business cluster, in every ward of every local government. So there was a comprehensive database put together. The calendar cuts across all 17 local governments, across every ward in each of those local governments, working with the women leaders of those locations to identify these clusters and collect their details, their biometric data, and also some important survey questions that will support interventions to them. But what we're trying to do with this is a first step of, collecting data that would help in, outside of the interventions that I mentioned, that will help in, creating some kind of credit history. So that's the first step. We can be able to put their information up and provide them access to capital. Just like you said, the only way for you to be able to scale efficiently as a small business owner is to be able to adopt these tools. And it's not something that you should be scared of. The first step is with the training, then also providing access to support services like credit and insurance and things of that nature, but digitally. Thank you.
Coming to you, sir, Pharmacist Ugoke, Honorable, you've done some of these initiatives. Particular emphasis I want to refer to would be the Nsukka Unemployed Graduates Assistance project you did. Now, he's spoken to the digital space and how that has enhanced, you're talking about 60,000 data points. That's huge. Now, in some communities in Enugu where you have deployed some of these initiatives you've spearheaded, what has been the response like from the people on ground? It's one thing, like the keynote speaker told us, it's one thing to want to do these things. It's another thing for it to be embraced by the people. So what has, from your experience, been the response of the people on ground? And how can we also scale some of these initiatives you spearheaded in the different communities in Enugu State?
I am glad that you have, zoned down the question to my own grassroots. In 2021, I came up with the idea of setting up a platform that could enhance, opportunity creation for the youth. And I come from Nsukka. Nsukka is my local government. And I had this idea, global idea, looking at Nigerian youth. And the acronym, NUGAP, that I came up with was to be Nigerian Unemployed Graduates Assistance Projects. And then I thought, it's always good to lick hot soup, small. I said to myself, let me not go global yet. And then I came down. Coincidentally, Nsukka and Nigeria starts with the letter N. So I now set up the Nsukka Unemployed Graduates Assistance Project. And what it's all about, the concept was just to offer a job support platform, an empowerment platform. So what I intended to do with it, which we are now doing, is focusing on graduates, those who have graduated from the universities that are going through the frustration of joblessness. We have connected people onto the presidential grant scheme, which is being overseen by the DG here. And I think we were able to provide funding for more than 50 people at the first batch and also the second batch. So that is essentially what I do. And I intend to scale up that platform when the capacity comes to now cover the entire country, instead of just being localized in my own territory.
Apart from, I'm going to come to you, sir. Apart from traditional educational institutions, those who have gone through that, are there opportunities in the job creation space in your ministry for people who have not gone through the traditional educational systems? And how could you speak to that so people who are listening to us can also take advantage of that? Because what I hear across this divide is we are having a lot of information about opportunities that are running, which people may not be aware of. So can we hear of that from your space?
Thank you. So that very point that the keynote speaker made is very apt. And so that's why one of our strategies at the moment is to seek out such facilities and see how they can be brought into proper use. In fact, I'll give 2 examples, but I'll try to be a bit discreet. I had a meeting with the DG of SME Center yesterday, and our discussions were along such lines, particularly as it concerns the digital space. We have facilities here in Enugu State that were put in place by the federal government and have gone into, were never used really in the first place and have sort of gone into disrepair. And now discussions are being had as to how the Enugu State government, through collaborations with the federal government, can revive those moribund facilities and equip them to render the proper purpose that they were initially designed for. There are opportunities that abound in terms of our youth and sports space for people who might not have had formal education.
As DG of the Enugu SME, he's spoken to the things they're doing in the sporting space. Now, I would like you to drill this further down into, can you let us know more specificity to it now in terms of the programs, the initiatives that your SME Center is currently engaged in? I want you to just throw some light on that so people can understand that, especially in the area of supporting these tech startups and other entrepreneurs, not necessarily in the tech space. Okay, so let's drill it down, hear some of those things, and then let's also have maybe some linkages where they can go to, portals where they should refer to and get more information beyond what we can achieve here, since time is far against us.
Thank you very much. So just going right into it, when it comes to opportunities for individuals in the tech space, just like my colleague alluded to, there are some facilities here that we're actively working with the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, to revive them. That's the Digital Bridge Institute and the Digital Industrial Park here at Newmarket. We've gone a long way in those conversations, and quite soon those facilities would be used for something quite unique. I don't want to go too deep into it right now until it's done, but it's going to ensure that Enugu is seen as a skill hub for the Southeast and if not Nigeria. Other opportunities, working on creating co-working spaces for tech startups. We have a location. So one of the things that His Excellency is keen on is reviving, refurbishing old government buildings to suit some of these initiatives. I also want to use this opportunity to appreciate the Senator of the House, Honorable Osita Ngwu. He has also been quite helpful in supporting youth, especially in the tech space. Some of these initiatives, he actually, like for example, the training on cybersecurity and software engineering, he actually pays for a full block of them So I think it's something we can put our hands together to appreciate him for that. He's very keen in supporting the youth, not just in Enugu West Senatorial Zone, but all across Enugu. So we have key initiatives that are just targeted for small business owners. And again, I want to mention in the next few weeks, we'll be pushing the Enugu Startup Bill, right? We want to domesticate the Nigerian Startup Bill, right? To suit the nuances of what the Enugu ecosystem is like. So we're having sessions with key stakeholders to get their feedback and ensure once the bill is put together, it's something that is inclusive. Thank you.
Another round of applause. Thank you. What collaborations within your ministry of labor and employment are going on that will also help this narrative in terms of youth employment and capacity development?
Thank you once again. The government of His Excellency Dr. Peter Mba has a unique approach to economic development, and that is collaboration. It is the fundamental rule we were all given when we were inaugurated as commissioners. And what it means is that whatever you do, from whichever area you're operating from, we have a single focus, which is economic growth, and the approach is uniform, collaboration. So whether from the sports and the youth development or labor and productivity, our approach is that focus. And the ministry is poised to continue this collaboration in seeking out opportunities for our people, in empowering them with the right skills for personal development, helping them to set up small businesses. And our collaborative approach has no limits. We even collaborate with the churches. So that forms the basis for the success that we have achieved so far. And all credits go to His Excellency, the Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba. Thank you very much.
Please, another round of applause for him. Thank you. Given your background in policy and governance, what are some of the policy provisions we may be looking at or we already are executing now and we may be looking at in the near future that will drive and sustain as an underpinning for the foundation that will help support these initiatives that have been spoken about now and in the near future?
We, of course, have already spoken about the Enugu State Youth Policy, which we have and it's operational. And it's a piece of policy document that I think I drew a lot from my experience as a legal practitioner for us to in the formulation process. And it's quite detailed. We've engaged all the necessary stakeholders from youth organizations to NGOs, donor agencies, and the like in formulating that policy. In fact, the policy formulation process was funded by the ActionAid and the government of Denmark, and then implemented for us also by SSDO, South Sahara Development Organization. We are taking steps ahead already to see that we develop Enugu State through our sector and contribute to His Excellency's vision of moving our economy from 4.4 billion and GDP to 30 billion in 4 to 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we put our hands together for him? Okay, now we have a challenge. We have so many more people that have questions to answer. So I'm going to limit it to 30 seconds per question, and the timer will start when you start answering. So please, no comments, just the question, and I will expand that dragnet to about 5 questions.
My name is Emmanuel Ukona. I actually have 2 questions for the panelists.
We'll take one.
Okay. So what would your ministry do in Enugu State to tap into that economy?
What is the policy towards putting an end to harvesting graduates that you come across somebody who has spent 17 years, 6 years primary school, 6 years in secondary school, 5 years in university, and you ask him, what do you want to be? And he's saying, I don't know. Final year. So, what I'm saying is that, what are we doing in reviewing our curriculum? Because let me conclude by saying that if you get to Israel today, as you are coming out of school, you are gaining knowledge and you are acquiring skill. Jesus the teacher, Jesus the carpenter, that has been the pattern forever. The same thing in South Africa. And we started that way in this country. That when you finish secondary school in this country, there is already skill that you have. How are we going back? So that it's not at the end of university that you'll be learning skill. So that long term, I want the policy to address that, and it will make progress. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So without further ado, I would like to know the measures that are being ensured to make sure that people in the rural communities also participate and benefit from this paradigm shift. Because another thing is that people in field like mine, we are usually associated with scholar, people that are into artisanal craft and literacy skills. How do people that are part of such world identify opportunities that they can benefit from in the larger world? So that's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think that part of that has been spoken to in your earlier presentation, the DG SME. So I'll allow you, please, we need to really cut our answers to, we can take up other collaborations after this panel session, away from this floor. But I'll start with you, DG SME.
Okay, thank you very much. So in relation to our question for the rural communities, we just wrapped up an assessment exercise of all the, an initiative we're calling Digital Skill Enhancement Zones. So in every PPMSC school, the secondary schools across the 17 local governments, they have an ICT center. So as the state is transitioning into the Smart School initiative, we want to retain these ICT centers in these communities so we can serve the community in digital skills programs, which we have commenced. Right now, we're doing a digital skills literacy program at IMT and ESSET. First of all, is for the civil service. So His Excellency has put in a policy that says, for consideration for your promotion as a civil servant, you have to go through this skills, digital skills program. So this will help improve productivity. So the first step is starting with the civil service. So far, we've done about 5,000. From next week, we'll be working with the teachers as well that are going to be working at these smart schools. And also these opportunities will be extended to the youth in those 17 local governments using those ICT centers from these schools to provide free training.
You could respond to that first question on the industry very briefly, please.
Thank you. The first question was on how we can explore the pharmacognosy space. That's what that field is called. Well, it is quite simple. What we do as a ministry is to form that link between the state government and then institutions that are responsible for research and development, and also both academic and non-academic institutions. As a state, we are already having a relationship with the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. We are already having a relationship with the Nigerian Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development. And down here in Enugu, we have two major institutions, the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and the Enugu State University of Science and Technology. I was part of the team that went for the inspection of their facilities. So research and development is the key to that transformation, and the state is well poised to collaborate with the institutions on that.
Thank you.
You'll be pleased to know that when all is said and done, if the government of Dr. Peter Ndubuisimba is only remembered for one thing, it's development in the educational sector. That is, in fact, where we're having, we're making the most strides. The idea is that when you get to that JS3 stage, you can then make a decision for yourself if you want to pursue the rest of high school and potentially go to university, or go down the vocational route and gain some new skills that will help you become productive and contribute to the economy. And they take the same philosophy, which is one of experiential learning and a new sort of pedagogy that the Commissioner for Education always tells us about. So I wish he were here. But when I come back to my seat, I'll show you some videos of the school. Thank you.
All right, please, can we put our hands together for all the panelists and the answers thereof? And by the powers vested and not vested in me, I hereby bring this session to a close. Thank you.